Beyond the towering peaks and lush valleys of the Caucasus lies a people whose roots stretch deep into the mists of history, the Ossetians, direct descendants of the ancient Alans. Today we invite you on a journey to understand who they are, how they came to be, and how their bonds with Georgia and its neighbors were forged in loyalty, kinship, and the crucible of battle. This is the story of courage, friendship, and survival. The Ossetians trace their ancestry to the Alans, an eastern Iranian nomadic tribe of the broader Sarmatian and Scythian groups. From around the 8th century, they established the medieval kingdom of Alania in the northern Caucasus, spanning modern North Ossetia and parts of Circassia. Alania flourished via its strategic location along the Silk Road, becoming a regional power with a formidable military. In the 13th century, the Mongol invasions shattered their kingdom. Survivors retreated into the Caucasus and migrated southward, giving rise to modern North and South Ossetia. In the Middle Ages, the Alans converted to Orthodox Christianity under Georgian and Byzantine influence, deepening spiritual ties with Georgia. Over time, Ossetians formed strong alliances with neighboring Caucasian groups like the Georgians and Circassians, especially through intermarriage and common defense pacts. By the 17th century, as Ossetian groups migrated into Kartli, they became woven into the Georgian socio-political fabric and often served alongside Georgian nobles. An Ossetian, Bolatiko Katagarov, fought as a Georgian army leader under King Erekli II at the Battle of Aspinsa in 1770. During the 18th and 19th centuries, Ossetians endured raids and shifting relationships with Georgian noble houses, shaping a complex mix of conflict and alliance. Yet many Ossetian families integrated into Georgian nobility and served in the Georgian military or court, building mutual respect rooted in shared Christian faith, strategic alliances, and cultural exchange. After Alania's fall to the Mongols, Alans fled through the Caucasus into Georgia's highlands, at times seizing territory from Gori to Meskheta, including South Ossetia. In 1326, King George V of Georgia reclaimed the area after a 3-month siege of Gori, firmly reasserting Georgian control. Following the Russian Revolution, Ossetians sought self-governance. In March 1918, they rose in rebellion against the Menshevik Georgian authorities in Skinvali. After 3 days of intense fighting, Georgian forces suppressed the uprising. This uprising deepened Ossetian mistrust of Georgian rule and steered them toward Bolshevik sympathies. Zviad Gamsakhurdia, the first president of independent Georgia, made a number of controversial statements and policies regarding the Ossetian population, especially in South Ossetia, which significantly exacerbated Georgian-Ossetian relations. Hostile rhetoric and policy decisions. In 1989, Gamsakhurdia reportedly said at a rally, "First, get rid of the Ossetians in positions of responsibility, in the police and in the teachers. I authorize you to search their houses and confiscate any weapons, daggers, big knives, and axes that you find. This will be the end of South Ossetia."
This territory belongs to Georgia. It is historical Georgian territory. Ossetians are national minority. And national minorities have only cultural rights in every country, cultural autonomy, and not political autonomy.
In December 1990, Gamsakhurdia's government declared the Ossetian elections illegal and revoked South Ossetia's autonomous status, stating, "They, Ossetians, have no right to statehood here in Georgia. They are a national minority. Their homeland is North Ossetia. Here they are outsiders." Gamsakhurdia also said on Georgian TV channels that the Ossetian people are trash that needs to be gotten rid of. After all these statements, the Ossetians were forced to confront Georgia. Imagine if your first president says directly on TV that you are trash that needs to be gotten rid of. Western media, Ukraine and Europe, are constantly saying that Putin is pursuing a cruel policy against Ukraine, calling Zelensky a drug addict that needs to be gotten rid of. And now imagine that this has already happened to the Ossetian people who were born and raised in Georgia. Because of their small number, people do not care about the Ossetians. They are always talking about Ukraine, but forget that South Ossetia is not a territory, but people. If you delve into the history of the enmity between Ossetia and Georgia, you can see all the hypocrisy of the propaganda of European, Western, and Ukrainian media. Currently, the Ossetians are fighting against Ukraine because they are part of Russia, and because of this, Ukrainian spam offices are sending out messages to Ossetian groups saying that they are terrorists and this is not their war. But when the genocide of the Ossetian people began, which is gently called ethnic cleansing, Ukraine sent snipers and stormtroopers against the Ossetian people. Zviad Gamsakhurdia, the first president of independent Georgia, made a number of controversial statements and policies regarding the Ossetian population, especially in South Ossetia, which significantly strained Georgian-Ossetian relations, hostile rhetoric, and policy decisions. In 1989, Gamsakhurdia reportedly told a rally, "First of all, get rid of the Ossetians in leadership positions, in the police and among teachers. I authorize you to search their houses and confiscate any weapons, daggers, big knives, and axes that you find. This will mean the end of South Ossetia." In December 1990, Gamsakhurdia's government declared the Ossetian elections illegal and revoked South Ossetia's autonomous status, stating, "They, Ossetians, have no right to statehood here in Georgia. They are a national minority. Their homeland is North Ossetia. They are strangers here." Gamsakhurdia also said on Georgian TV channels, "The Ossetian people are trash that needs to be gotten rid of." After all these statements, the Ossetians were forced to confront Georgia. Imagine if your first president had said on TV that you are trash that needs to be gotten rid of. Western media, Ukraine, and Europe constantly talk about Putin pursuing a cruel policy against Ukraine, calling Zelensky a drug addict that needs to be gotten rid of. Now imagine that this has already happened to the Ossetians who were born and raised in Georgia. Because of their small numbers, people do not care about the Ossetians. They constantly talk about Ukraine, forgetting that South Ossetia is not a territory, but a people. If you delve into the history of the feud between Ossetia and Georgia, you can see all the hypocrisy of the propaganda of the European, Western, and Ukrainian media. Currently, the Ossetians are fighting against Ukraine because they are part of Russia, and so Ukrainian spam services send messages to Ossetian groups claiming that they are terrorists and that this is not their war. But when the genocide of the Ossetian people, which is gently called ethnic cleansing, began, Ukraine sent snipers and stormtroopers against the Ossetian people. Escalation of the conflict. These actions led to violent clashes between Georgian and Ossetian forces. In January 1991, Georgian troops entered Skin the capital of South Ossetia. The ensuing conflict resulted in many casualties and massive displacement of the population. Both sides committed atrocities, and the region was plunged into chaos. Long-term consequences. Gamsakhurdia's approach to South Ossetia was widely criticized for exacerbating ethnic tensions and violating human rights. His policies alienated South Ossetians and fueled separatist sentiments, leading to a protracted conflict that continues to negatively impact Georgian-Ossetian relations. In summary, Gamsakhurdia's hostile rhetoric and policies towards the Ossetian population played a key role in fueling the Georgian-South Ossetian conflict, which had long-term consequences for regional stability and interethnic relations. Ossetia is not just a place, it is a long-suffering people forced to confront the entire world because of its anti-Russian policies. They forget that Ossetia is not a place, but a people. Today, relations between Georgians and Ossetians remain tense, and unfortunately, not only the peoples themselves are to blame for this, but also major geopolitical players. America and Russia, pursuing their own interests, have done everything possible to destroy the friendship that has been built over centuries. For more than 20 centuries, Georgians and Ossetians have lived side by side, sharing joys and hardships, helping each other in the most difficult times. However, constant propaganda from different sides has turned neighbors into enemies. Russia imposes one vision of the world through South Ossetia and America through Georgia, a completely opposite one. As a result, ordinary people become hostages of foreign interests, and their hearts are filled with mistrust and hatred. However, any propaganda is temporary. Peoples who share a common history and cultural ties will sooner or later remember that they are closer to each other than distant powers. Hatred fades, but friendship, tested by centuries, remains. It is important that Georgians and Ossetians again learn to listen, not to the voices of foreign politicians, but to each other's hearts. Then, despite all the efforts of external forces, peace and good neighborliness will definitely return to this land. I understand that videos that bring good always get few views, but I hope that Georgians will come to their senses and will not listen to Western politicians, and Ossetians will not listen to Russian politicians, and friendly relations between the two peoples will return.